Vincent, and thank you for joining me in my afternoon cup of coffee. So in my previous episode, I spoke about buying versus renting, and the conclusion was actually buying and renting benefited me. If you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link in the description below. So in this episode, I want to talk about rent arbitrage. So what is rent arbitrage? So let's look at my one-bedroom apartment. So the property was valued at about £400,000 and the agent said I could get gross rent of £1,500 per calendar month. But I thought this was a little bit optimistic, seeing as this gave me a 4.5% yield. The average rental yield in the London area is about 3%. So what I've done is I've assumed £1,350 rent, which is actually what I'm getting now, so I know someone is comfortable paying that amount. This gives me a yield of 4.1%, which is still pretty decent for the London area. To calculate the rental yield, I've taken the gross rent per year and divided that by the property value. So let's look at the apartment that I'm currently living in and that I've rented. So the property value is about £700,000 and the rent that I'm paying at the moment is £1,950. So this gives a yield of 3.3%, which is closer to the London average. This gives me a difference of positive 0.7%, and this is what I call rent arbitrage. Now if you look at different areas, they might have even higher rents, and that's how you can increase that rent arbitrage. In parts of the country, the rent can go up to 6%. That gives you a rental arbitrage of about 3%. But that's not the complete story, because at the moment we've been calculating the yield off the property value. But in reality, most people would mortgage their property, and the actual money you put in isn't the value of the property. In my case, the deposit I put down was £100,000. I've taken a 75% loan-to-value mortgage, and my monthly interest payments are £375. So each year I pay £4,500 in interest. To rent through an agent, you need to pay agency fees, so I was quoted 10% of the full year contract price. So that's 10% of £16,200, but this can go from 10% to 20% depending on the level of service. So the net rent works out to be about £9,750. This is the gross rent minus the interest payments minus the agent fees. So the actual yield that I get is a little under 10%. This takes into account the actual money that I put in and the net rent that I receive. So if we do the same calculation with the property that I have rented, assuming they put in a 25% deposit of £175,000, the yield that they actually get is a little over 7%, so that's a 2.5% difference. The landlord might be making more profit from me of £12,700, but by renting my apartment out, I'm actually making a higher yield. The rent I receive for my one-bedroom apartment would have to be £1,115 for the actual yield to be equal. So I hope you followed the logic in my explanation, and now you can understand the rental yield that you receive from your property versus the rental yield that you pay on your property. That difference, the rental arbitrage, can actually determine how much profit you make in adopting the buy and rent strategy. Thank you for watching. In my next episode, I shall be discussing the difference between saving, paying off your mortgage, and investing, and the yield differences you can make from that. And I'll be going through a real-life example of what happened to me in the last 5 years. Thank you for watching, and if you like the content, please like and subscribe.